What up, y'all? It's a real ball watcher, grab binoculars, and we back with another video, another MSE mid-season evaluation. Today we hopping into AD Mitchell, Adonai. I don't know how to say his name, but you know what it is. It's Thanksgiving. My apologies if you hear a couple noises downstairs. I got a black family. They cooking, they loud. You know what time it is. They're gonna be arguing. But we here, another video on the way. About to break this down for y'all. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Looking kind of crazy on the cam, you know the vibe. I got the D-Will jersey. Everybody know what it is. Crash and dash back in the day. But we gonna hop into AD Mitchell. So he's 6'4", 196. He went to Georgia for his first 2 years, transferred to Texas this year, and is actually turning it up this year. So let's go ahead and go through his stats. So we got 29 catches his freshman year. Sorry, let's start over. He played 15 games in 2021. That was his freshman year at Georgia. He had 29 catches, 426 yards, and 4 tutties. A little bit of production, a little bit of coming in, you know. I think 500 yards is pretty good production for a true freshman. But then we go ahead and go to 2022. He only played in 6 games because of injury, which we'll have to talk about later on in the video. But because of injury, he only played in 6 games. He only ended up with 9 catches, 134 yards, and 3 tutties. But he did play in the playoffs, and he had 2 touchdowns in the college football playoff. And he helped Georgia get a national championship, as we all know. I want to say, yeah, that's back-to-back. That was their second one. So, yeah, he had first 2 years in college, national championship. Now he's playing to get into the college football playoffs with a whole different school. A nice little career he got going. Anyways, 2023. This year, transferred to Texas. New QB, Quinn Ewers. I said Quinn or Quinn? Quinn Ewers. New teammates, all that. 43 catches, 669 yards, and 9 tutties so far. He's been a touchdown machine, and that's only in 10 games. So his stats look pretty good. You see he is definitely a lot better this year than before. His yards still isn't anything crazy, which we'll touch on, but he has put up a lot of good touchdown numbers in those years that he's played. Y'all gotta give me props, man. No days off. We doing this on a Thanksgiving. I'll record on Christmas if I got to. Nah, but I'm messing with y'all. Let's go ahead and hop into the strengths and weaknesses. I'm pull the chart up, everything, pull up all the film. You know, this is when we get into the All-22. But one of the first things I noticed on his film, one of the first strengths I noticed was how good his ball skills was. When it comes to his leaping ability, the timing that he jumps with, he jumps at the perfect time to high point the ball. He has strong hands. He can go up, get over defenders, but not even just that. He kind of can shield defenders off from him and kind of use it as a box out tool, catch it with his body if he needs to, but he can also catch it with his hands. He has really good ball skills. He's a really good jump ball specialist, and it shows up plenty of times on this film. I mean, it showed up in a couple of those touchdowns in the college football playoff with Georgia back in the day. And of course I got film to show that, so I can show that. But also, like I said before, strong hands, really strong hands. And it isn't just at the point of attack for the ball. He has really strong hands to win in routes. So these next 2 points, all these first 3 points kind of go together. It's his hands. His hands are a strength. Whether he's running a route and he's kind of getting those subtle push-offs that doesn't get called, but he's strong enough to where it's so subtle it'll move the guy, but it won't be enough to get the penalty. He, like I said, he has really strong hands to grab the ball out of the air, attack it at the point of attack, or he can box out a guy with his hands, kind of like move him and maneuver them with his body. But even off of that, when he's at the line of scrimmage, you give him press, he can swipe your hands off. When he's running his routes downfield, he can swipe your hands, keep your hands away, so he can keep you away from the ball. And he's really good at using his hands in the route, at the catch point, boxing guys out, whatever you want to use, whatever you think a receiver should use his hands for, he's really good with it. There's no problem with his hands. That's his best attribute, I should say. And I mean, that's kind of important with a receiver. Also, on top of that, he has good long speed. He can win deep. If you give him space, he can kind of outrun a defender. He can outrun somebody deep, go get a deep ball. He has plenty of them where he has 10 yards of separation down the field. So we know he has good long speed. One of my favorite things when I watch is when he's running a route, you would think he would win, since he's a deep threat, he would win with just outrunning guys or being so explosive and burst. That's not really his thing. What he does is he runs his route. You're playing off coverage. He's going to run his route square you up, give you a fake this way, give you a fake that way, whichever way that he fakes 1-2 times, boom, and burst off the other way. Now he has 5 yards of separation, and since he has such good long speed, you're not necessarily going to catch him. There is no recovery speed that's going to be able to catch him because he has good long speed. He also is a fluid mover. Whenever he runs his route, he's a big guy. I didn't expect him to be 6'4", almost 200 pounds, but he's a big guy. And he really has that muscle to show it, kind of a pretty good frame to show it, honestly. But he's not real tight. Like a DK Metcalf is kind of tight, kind of boxed in his movements. But this guy's a fluid mover. He can move his hips fluidly. He can run any route in the route tree. He's not necessarily pigeonholed to 3-4 routes like a DK Metcalf. He can run whatever route you need him to run because he's such a fluid mover. There is no wasted movement off the line. You could tell, hey, if you're impressed, I'm gonna go ahead, fake, swipe hands, go. Fake once, swipe hands, go. He's getting off the line, not necessarily fast, explosive, but there is no wasted movement. Sorry if I keep looking off the game zone in the background. I got to tune that out. But there is no wasted movement, and he's a fluid mover, like I said, and it shows off the line. So there is no struggles with, oh, is he going to get jammed at the line? Is he dancing too much? This is that. He's not really that. He's going to get off the line, get into his route, square DB up, get open, use his hands, box out, swipe off, get a good jump ball if he needs to. Great receiver, honestly. Great jump ball receiver. Great big body receiver that you want. And he's, last point I got on here, he's a touchdown machine. Dog. 9 touchdowns in 10 games. He didn't get a touchdown in the last game, so really it was 9 touchdowns in 9 games. He's been a touchdown machine since he's been on Texas. And even if you look at last year, I want to say, what did he play in? 6 games and he had 4 touchdowns or something like that. I mean, every game in the college football playoffs, he had a touchdown. A game against Oregon with Christian Gonzalez, he had a touchdown. He's really a hooper. And I will say most of the film that I watched has been his Georgia tape. I think I only watched maybe 2-3 games of his Texas tape. So when we do our final eval, later on after the season over, after college football season over, after NFL season over, and it's draft season time, I'll watch all of his Texas tape this season, and we'll see what he kind of improved on from the Georgia tape. But most of this, I will say, is about Georgia. Most of this is probably, I'll say 64 to Georgia, Texas. End of the season, it'll be mostly Texas stuff. But let's go ahead and hop into his weaknesses, or what's not his game. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the stuff that's not his game. This might get a little bit controversial. I know from talking to people on Twitter that I'm cool with, looking at a lot of Panthers fans, I think a lot of us, and really me, I don't want to speak for everybody else, I had his game all wrong. I thought he was kind of this big route running burner who can get deep. Maybe not like a 4.3 speed guy, but at least low 4.4s, burning guys deep, running the crispiest routes, just a really refined route runner. He's a good route runner. It's not that refined. He's not some route technician that just has burst of speed. That's not who he is. So let's go ahead and hop into the stuff that's not his game. First thing I want to point out, his lack of production or / dominance. When I looked at his stats, what I do when I watch film, I pull up that game, I look at the stats he had that game, look up who he's facing. I said, okay, get a kind of gist of how this game is going to go. Watch the game, see if those stats are kind of inflated because it's like, oh, this is a screen, this is a slant, he didn't really do much, or see if he lived up to those stats, or if he had a better game than what those stats indicate. So when I'm looking at his stat sheet, it's just 3 catches, 2 catches, 3 catches, 3 catches, 3 catches, 10, 1 catch, 2 catch, 3 catch, 5. Most of his games, he has 3 catches. For a number 1 receiver, if you want him to be your number 1 receiver, hell, if you want him to be your number 2, you don't want to see a consistent production of 3 catches. That's probably why, well, I don't even have to say that's probably why. That's why he only has 669 yards, I want to say. Let me go back to it. 669 yards on the season so far, when guys like Troy Franklin are already at 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards. Because they're kind of the number 1 dominant receiver. We're going to get 5 to 7, even more, 9 catches a game, because we're that dominant. We're going to be that open. We're going to get as much production as we can because we're just that dominant of a receiver. This is not really what you want to see from a number 1. Not really what you want to see from a number 2 either. But getting to the next point, lack of breakaway speed or explosiveness. Like I said earlier, I didn't really want to touch on it, but I thought he was kind of a burner. I thought he was kind of this explosive guy, because you see so many clips, maybe 3-4 clips of him this year where he has 10 yards of separation on a go ball, 5 yards of separation on a go ball. You like, dang, how do you get that open? When you don't watch the All-22, you think he's a burner. He's not that fast. I could see him running high 4.4s, maybe 4.5s. I would be surprised if it's any faster than that. But he's not necessarily explosive. It takes him a minute to get up to the speed that he needs to get to. He's not like an instant go when he's fast. He kind of needs to build up that speed a little bit, but it's kind of okay because he kind of compensated for with his route running, how he squares up DBs. But that's just something I noticed that he doesn't really have, is this breakaway speed or explosiveness that's just going to break a defense and have people playing a safety 20 yards off the ball over top of him, taking over, taking stuff from underneath, opening stuff underneath. But next thing, there are times he has the Jerry Jeudy effect. The Jerry Jeudy effect, or what Panthers fans will try to say is the Jonathan Mingo effect, but Jerry Jeudy really does it worse than anybody. And when he's not the focal point of the route, speaking on Jerry Jeudy now, he will literally just walk his route. He'll walk his route. He'll jog his route. He won't try to beat the defender, because you never know. The QB may come off of the first, second, third read, and now you're there, and you can have a big play if you just run your route. But that's not Jerry Jeudy's game. Jerry Jeudy is just going to chill. He's going to run his little lazy route until he's the focus of the route concept, and that's why Steve Smith was saying he's just a guy. But he has some of that Jerry Jeudy effect in his game. I've seen slants. I have a screen recording of it. I'll pull up the All-22. I've seen him when he ran a drag and he's just jogging a drag. Ewers tries to throw on the ball. He doesn't even know where the ball is because he's just jogging a route. There's other routes where he's jogging. He's not necessarily running a route. He'll walk it a little bit. It's not so prevalent to where it's like, man, this is crazy. But that lack of effort is a red flag to me. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a red flag to a lot of coaches. He lacks separation at the top of his routes. And that leads to a lot of contested catches. He lacks separation, period. Not just at the top of his routes, but it leads to a lot of contested catches. This is personally for Panthers fans and maybe other teams who need receivers who can separate. He doesn't separate. I'm letting you know now, he does not separate. Maybe 2 yards of separation max. It's going to be a couple highlight plays where he's 5 yards away from the defender, like I said, on those go balls. But when you're watching the All-22 on multiple routes, he's not separating. He is a quintessential jump ball guy. He is a throw it up and go get it guy. He's not a separator, refined route runner. He's not a Devontae Adams, things like that. He is not a separator. He's just a get him on your hip pocket, maybe stack him, you know, win with your hands. Win with your hands. That's basically what he is. And the last thing I have is his injury history. Last season, he missed damn near the whole season with the ankle injury, or ankle sprain. And that could be a red flag for some teams. Could be a red flag for the Panthers necessarily, since we got a lot of injuries going on and a lot of older receivers. But that's kind of the last thing I really had. But yeah, that's really just stuff that's not his game, that's not in his game yet. Maybe he can improve on. But things like explosiveness, things like the lazy route runners, you can kind of improve on. But things like explosiveness, things like separation, that's things that I don't really see him improving on, because that's kind of built into his game. That's just who he is. But he can improve on maybe his production and the dominance he has in the game, and he can improve on his lazy route running and just give more effort in certain parts of the game. But that's all. He also is kind of lazy in run blocking sometimes. But that's all I got for it's not his game. I ain't gonna dwell on it too much because this part already 6 minutes. So let's go ahead get into his player build. Now for the last part of the video, my favorite part of the video, shout out to K, don't sue me. Notified with his player build. What we have built so far is what I have listed as a savvy jump ball threat. When I say a savvy jump ball threat, I mean he's kind of a crafty route runner. He's good with his feet. He can, like I said, use his hands to win on a route, get away with some push-offs, kind of box guys out. That's a little bit of a savvy type of way to win on routes. When you're not winning with explosiveness, not winning with necessarily technique, you can kind of win in other savvy ways with your arms, things like that, strength, boxing guys out, things with your frame. And he's a jump ball threat because, like I said before, he's not a separator. He's not going to burn everybody or get 5 yard separation on a dig or a slant. Really, he's a big jump ball, hard pause. He's a strong-handed wide receiver who's going to pull in the ball with strong hands, pause, and that might not be a pause, but he's going to pull in the ball with strong hands. He's going to go jump up the ball and get it. He's going to have good timing on his jumps, things like that. The people I have him compared to, or his shades of, my favorite one after watching this was Mike Evans. Him and Mike Evans are kind of like a carbon copy. He is going to take a minute to get to where Mike Evans is, because Mike Evans was productive from the jump. Every year he got 1,000 yards. Like I said, you're not going to do that when you're only getting 3 catches, 2 catches a game. So he has to improve on his production to kind of get to that ceiling of Mike Evans and improve on a couple other things, but like the lazy route running, other stuff like that. But I could see a lot of Mike Evans as his ceiling and his game, things like that. The next comparison I have is T. Higgins, of course. If you need him to be a number 2 receiver, he can be your number 2 receiver. I don't think he'll be a bad number 2 receiver. He will still have to improve on the production that he gives and the effort that he shows in his routes to be a good T. Higgins level number 2 receiver. But I can see that in his game. And at the end of the day, if all fails, if all falls down, he could easily be Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess was not necessarily a super jump ball threat, but he's a big body receiver who wasn't burning guys. He wasn't this crafty route runner. He was just kind of savvy. He's going to get open in the ways that he get open. Going to pull in some catches. Going to get touchdowns for Cam. I don't think he ever had 1,000 yards receiver. Maybe he had like 800. But I could see him being a Devin Funchess-esque receiver. But that's all I got for A.D. Mitchell, the boy. Hopefully in his final eval, some of my opinions changed. He improves on a couple things. Like I said, I only watched 2 Texas games and 4 Georgia games. But we will see y'all next week. Happy Turkey Day, or Ham Day if you don't like turkey. Shout out to the hams. It's the Real Ball Watcher. I'm out. Put your binoculars up. We gone.